Looks like we're live.
Yes, we are live.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to another inspired-business.tv show. And today, boy, have we got a treat for yourself. But before we move on, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Sam Dossa.
Good morning.
How are you, Sam?
I'm doing great. Yeah, beautiful Birmingham. It's quite windy, but it's amazing. It's very good, and it's fantastic to be on the show today with you, Sukhi Wahiwala, and our amazing guest Jatinder Palaha. So, off to you, Sukhi.
Perfect. So, Jatinder, I'm about to introduce yourself. I'm going to the Inspired Tribe who listen to our broadcasts live and also on pre-recorded and via the internet on our YouTube channel. We get constant communication saying that the content is so beautiful and so lively, and more importantly, so enriched with content, with knowledge that people can actually utilize themselves. So welcome once again, Inspired Tribe, and welcome to our journey, our humble journey of taking what we call the world's best influencers, communicators, and individuals in the best of their field to you as an audience, so you can take some journey learnings. Now, today we have not by any chance cut any strings short. We have a very close brother of mine, and his name is Jatinder Palaha. He is the founder and the founder of numerous companies and organizations. So I shall mention a few of them for you. One is Big Fanta Limited, which is an online web portal and marketing strategy organization. The second is the Success Methods online forum, where he shares such amazing in-depth knowledge about how people can actually move themselves forward with reference to online marketing and structure and strategy. And also we have another joint company by Jatinder and myself and a gentleman called Brian Calder, who we have delivered a new product to the market, which is called the Ultimate Sales Partnership. Basically, this is when we take your product and take it to the market for you and work one by one. Now, today, Jatinder is going to be sharing from his heart, I believe, and also the real deep knowledge that he's brought to the marketplace and assisted numerous individuals and myself as well to be recognized as experts in industry, that's specialists and the top of their game, and more importantly, the go-to people. What we always say, without a doubt, the Inspired Tribe will know this, it's out of sight, out of mind, out of action. When a person needs your service, if they cannot remember you, cannot find you, you've just lost that sale. So, with no further ado, may I introduce Jatinder Palaha to the stage.
Hello, Sam. Hello, Sukhi. Thank you for bringing me on board today.
Brilliant. Now we've got major treats for everybody today. We're going to be covering in the first half a little bit more about Jatinder's background and his journey up until now, because this is about inspired business journeys and how he overcame his challenges in life. And what I'm going to do is we've changed it up a little bit. And in the second half, towards the end of the actual program, after we've stopped for our little sponsor information, we will be talking specifically about strategies that you can take away with you immediately to be able to change the financial and also the structure of the organization, and more importantly, ensure that you are the go-to person in your industry. I hope that's going to be very exciting, so stay towards the end as well. Now, today's program, just for your reference, has been brought to you by one of our group companies, which is called the Business Boardroom, and they sponsor this particular segment from now on. And this is when we get together as an organization, allowing individuals on a monthly basis to lock into their accountability and also to unlock their own true potential within a group of private mastermind people within high-level knowledge and also like-mindedness. We all know within business it can be kind of lonely. And sometimes, when you've got to make the right decision, it's nice just to have a chat with somebody and say, what do you think? So that happens on a monthly basis. We'll talk a bit more about later on. So Jatinder, may I please welcome you back and talk to you a little bit more about who is Jatinder Palaha and what is your journey? I mean, I know for a fact you've been in this industry for well over 13 years at Big Fanta and also 15 years as in the industry as a whole. But please, feed us some information about how Jatinder Palaha has become the go-to person within the expert industry.
Yeah, Sukhi. So, so I've been in the internet marketing, web design development industry for well over 13 years, pretty much straight out of uni. And when I got out of uni, I actually did a placement year with TechLT. After TechLT, I worked with Sun Microsystems. And while I was with Sun Microsystems, I was setting up BigFanta.com. And when I got it to a stage where I thought, okay, I got to express this a bit more, I took that leap of faith and thought, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? So I just jumped across and then started working with Big Fanta. And initially started off by doing web design development for local businesses. And at the same time, it was something influenced through uni. When I was at uni, I did a dissertation on how to measure emotional intelligence using a web-based system. And the idea was that at the time, I didn't know what emotional intelligence was. I thought it was something because the short word they used was EQ. So I thought EQ was something like AI. So obviously, because I did an information systems degree, and so I was a bit confused by that. And I went to the supervisor, and she said, "Well, if you're interested in doing it, go write me a little bit about why you want to do it." So I thought, okay. I went away, did some research, and found out that it was actually emotional intelligence, which is basically your ability to monitor your own and other people's feelings and emotions, and then being able to use those feelings and emotions to pursue and attain goals. That's by Daniel Goleman. And I wrote a little piece of paper. I wrote down what it was, and I had referenced it as well as to where I got the content. So I took it to the dissertation teacher, and there was quite a lot of people that wanted to be in her group, but she chose me. And I thought, why did you choose me? I was like, what's going on? Later on, she was just asking, said, why do you think I chose you? And I thought, I'm not too sure. And I thought, could it be the references? And she said, yeah, because you showed where you got the work from, and you did a bit of research behind it. So that's when I found out about emotional intelligence, and then that was kind of my beginning seeds, if you want to know, as into the whole kind of personal development sphere, because that got me interested in human behavior and how the brain works and what's going on and how people think and whatnot. And when I was at Sun Microsystems, I started to educate and learn a lot about this whole human behavior, personal development industry. And ended up doing a lot of things in NLP, hypnosis, went on loads of courses of training, learning about soft skills and whatnot, and was really just immersing myself. And I got to a stage where I thought, why am I doing this? I did a degree in IT, and I got this passion for personal development. Where am I going in life? What do I want to do with this? So I was actually at a workshop by a lady called Janet Schwitzer, who's kind of like marketing brains behind people like Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, and she had a workshop in the UK. So it was about coaches. It was something along the lines of how coaches create, how experts build empires, or something like that. So I went down. It was a 2-day event, solely because I was just interested in coaching and whatnot. And she started talking about information products, sales funnels, and putting your content together, packaging it up, and putting it out there for the world to share. And when she was sharing that, it was a penny drop moment for me. I thought, right, I got it. I know exactly what I need to do. I'm combining my passion for personal development and my IT, and I'm going to put them together. And
so real poignant point there, isn't there? So it's about finding the crossover between passion and your version of the world, and what you want to do for business as well. My father usually says, get passionate about whatever you do. And you were so lucky that you ended up getting your passion becoming your focus.
That's right. So what happened then was I think I had a moment of clarity when that was going on. And so I just put it out there. I thought, right, I want to be the go-to person in this industry. I want to become the best person serving the personal development industry for their web services. Right. And as soon as I said that, literally within a week or so, I ended up working with big names in this industry. The first gentleman I worked with was a guy called Ron Holland, who was the first guy to ever bring out the first ever NLP business related book. And this was back in the 80s, I believe he came out with that. So this guy was he had really good knowledge, a lot of information, and he was the person I kind of started off with. And through that, started working on sales funnels, started packaging his content, putting it out there. And slowly just started to pick up more clients in this industry. And as a result of that, that's where I am today. So I thought, let me position myself as the person who gets experts out there and tries to help them. I see myself like a catalyst to get their message out there so they can help the world and serve the community and the world.
And in a lucky way, we work together as well. So that's been a very humble journey. over the last, I think, nearly 7 years, right, Jatinder?
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. That's been about something like that. 7 to 8 years. It's been like looking and refining that.
Amazing.
Sam, you had a question there.
Amazing. Yes. Oh, you actually created this question about EI, and I'm very high on emotional intelligence, and our upcoming workshop, I would say, where Sukhi is also a lead speaker on that emotional intelligence in business. We will be doing on the 27th of October. Emotional intelligence is very near to me because I've been working on emotional intelligence for a long time. I have derived a lot of courses on that as well. And when you say you were doing the dissertation on emotional intelligence with IT related, it's quite a phenomenal thing. So in your view, when you look at emotional intelligence, how it interconnects with interpersonal skills?
So when I was at uni, I think the buzzword in uni and corporate at the time was this thing about soft skills. Soft skills is about like connecting with other people, being able to work in the workspace and whatnot. And when I looked into the whole emotional intelligence stuff about Daniel Goleman's work, because he's the guy who pioneered it, and he was talking about, your ability of how you actually connect with people, being able to be empathetic in understanding other people and where others are coming from. So it was very kind of focused on other people's behavior and then being able to work with them and adapt with them and getting the best out of them. So I suppose it became the basis of my whole kind of understanding, because I didn't realize that many years later how much impact that actually had on me. It's only when I started revisiting a few things I thought, oh, that's where it came from. That's what's going on. So yeah, so it's a very I saw it as a bit of a kind of at that stage anyway. Saw it like an umbrella, where under which personal development everything falls into. But obviously over the years I realized there's many other disciplines, many other kind of practices, all sorts of different things which can be used. Which they intermingle with each other quite a bit, so it's good to kind of weave in and out and just take the best of what you can and just apply it to business and life.
So so
please carry on, Sam.
When you say apply it in your business and in your personal life, so would you be able to give us a bit of an example anywhere where you find yourself, as you said earlier, that it did help you to recognize your own emotions as well as working with somebody else's emotion, and soft skills was the buzzword at that time. So would you be able to share any example with us whether your emotion actually take precedent onto somebody else's emotion, or you are aware of somebody else's emotions before you actually made your decision for something?
Yeah. So if we go back to that time, so I was fresh out of uni, I went back to TechDT, and then after a couple of months, I started working with S.I.M.A.C Microsystems. And around that time frame, I was working in corporate, I was learning, taking on all this information. And it was probably there that I had my biggest kind of learnings and understanding about working in a team, in a group. And I think we I was the fourth person in that team. And by the time I left, I think we were up to about 20 something. So I was quite, I feel I was quite influential in creating the company culture or the group culture in our team. And it was working with people at the time and realizing that, I suppose one of the examples I can give you is that we used to have this support desk set up where we used to communicate with people from different parts of the world. So, we might have a Polish website, we might have the France website, Austria website, what are the different websites. And we used to get the group leaders putting a ticket in saying, we need this change, we need that change and whatnot. And what you got to remember is with these people from different places, their first language is not English. So the way they used to come across in text message, for example, was very straight, very, you could say abrupt if you looked at it, but it's not where they were coming from. It's just how they knew how to communicate. And what I used to often find was that people in the team used to get frustrated. So they didn't know how to deal with it or how to react. It's, oh, they want me to do this now. They don't understand it. And so I put a piece of paper together to say, well, you got to understand that they don't know English as a first language. And when you look at the whole kind of communication aspects of it, text, if you were to look at text, if you look at the whole body language thing, you got about 50% is body language, you got 23% is your language, and then your tone is about 7% or something, rough figures anyway. So where does text messages fall in that? So text messages would fall into just most like not even tone, but into the 23%, right? So you're not getting the full impact of communication. So everything else means that your brain's going to fill in the spaces. So I try to explain that to people and say, well, that's the best way they know how to communicate. They're going to share that information with limited speech. So it's up to you to interpret it, to say, how do I solve, what is it that they're asking me to do? And how do I solve this problem, instead of getting all emotional about it? And the emotional side of it was linked to the emotional intelligence, because when they realized that they were getting frustrated with all these things, is because they weren't regulating their emotions. And so I was like, you work with them or talk to them. And when they used to get stressed out, I'll be the person they would come and sit next to and just, chill out with me, because they said when they were stressed, one girl used to come up to me and she'll just come up to me and just touch my arm, sit down. And I'm like, what's that for? And she goes, oh, you calm me down. Right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
On us all at this moment as well, time does not change anything. So just to touch base, that's such a lovely example of how to be aware of the intelligence or the emotions at this particular time. It's something that I say within the S.I.M.A.C method, and I think you're aware of this as well, and so Sam. I call it the RIA, which is basically the real-time emotional awareness. Now, what I mean by that is that it's exactly what you were saying, is actually being aware in that moment right now to understand, because this resolves challenges, or should I say arguments, is an easy way of putting it, where you're trying to say what exactly is the version of the other person's world, and what exactly are they attempting to try to share with me from their position. Now, as you said, that little bit of a conversation around this scenario where the language limitation, meaning there's no reference to intelligence by that. It's just a matter of understanding that the language is of a limited second nature. So the beautiful part of this is that being aware, in the example that you've just shared there, being aware in the now, in that exact moment, using your RIA, your real-time emotional intelligence, being able to listen for an outcome, and more importantly, a solution. Which leads me to the next question that I had in mind. This also must arise in other people's worlds where they're this kind of what we call misinterpretation, what we classify as what we call a distortion, distort and generalization when we're talking about neurolinguistics. Now, the distortion part of it is what we were talking about, is what does the other person mean, and what do I mean, kind of thing, and what do I want doing. But there was a key that you said just in your conversation, you said, where it depends on what the outcome was trying to be. Are we trying to create a solution, or are we trying to create a barrier? So on that comes a little question, which, the Inspired Tribe all know this as well, and you're one of them as well, so it's been really wonderful to have you as our guest, that this particular segment, this particular show, The Inspired, is about business journeys, the journey itself. So my question to yourself is that, of course, we've all faced failures of some kind, but how have you personally overcome this kind of a misinterpretation, let's look at it as a deletion, a distortion, or a generalization, or whether it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or one of the other mediums that we have in our brain, but any significant memory that you've got of what we classify as a failure, and a failure is only the outcome that was not the desired outcome. That's the outcome. That is my reference or failure, because true failure is when you learn nothing from it, right? So the question here is, what is the most significant memory that you've ever had, Jatinder, where a failure has kind of faced you and you've decided to overcome it with your own personal, what we call validations and skill, and your engagement of your RIA, the real-time emotional awareness?
That's a very good question, Sukhi. I think the thing that comes to mind is hello,
we still got you. Yeah,
sorry. Okay. It looked like the signal dropped or something. So so I think the thing that comes to memory, or one of the biggest things that I think had an impact on me, was probably during my time of A levels. And I think this might be relevant to people who have just come out of A levels and GCSEs and whatnot at the time now as well. And so I did good in GCSE. I did A level. I did some really tough A levels, and I didn't get that results that I wanted. And as a result of that, that was very disappointing for, like, as you can imagine, family expectations, your own expectations, and whatnot. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I went to the sixth form head at the time, and they said to me, "Have you had any offers come through from uni?" And I said, "Yeah, I have. I've got something come through from one of the universities." And he said to me, "You know what? Forget about redoing your A levels." He said, "Just get into uni, right? Do what needs to be done, and then get a degree, and then go and take that route." So for me, that was a bit of an opening. So I thought, okay, cool. And I went and did. Initially, what I did is it's a bit. I ended up doing like a foundation year because I didn't have the marks that I needed. And when I was there, it became a very driving force for me to say, I don't like the way I'm feeling at this moment in time. I don't like this feeling of sadness. And it became a driving force. So I went into, did my foundation year, really did well in that. And then as a result of that, I actually ended up getting into the university that I wanted to get into, which was Brunel University. Wow. And I went into Brunel, and I remember taking in a folder to the head of IT at the time, and the folder had like all my certificates for martial arts, any other certificates I had picked up along the way. I just took that folder, I dropped it down. I was an A cadet as well, so I had all these certificates from there. So I put the folder down and I said, "Listen, I want to do this degree. Look, I messed up my A levels. I've done good in my foundation year, and I really, really want to do this. And look, I'm going to show you this folder to show you that I'm dedicated and determined to do it." And he looked through it, went through it, and he said, "You know what? Okay, cool. Come on board." And for me, that was a dream come true, because I ended up getting to the uni I wanted to go to. And then I was driven because I thought, I don't want to feel like this again. And that's why I did really well in my dissertation, and then ended up getting a 2-1 at the end of it. And that was a lot better than all these people, all these friends who had got A's, B's and whatnot at A level. And I had done a lot better than that. And so I saw that as an eye opener for me, for to think that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And you shouldn't let something that at the time, because the schools are telling you have to get good marks, you get into uni and all these kind of things, you think that's the only option you have. But if you persevere and go through it, you realize that there's actually more to life than that. And I think that was one of the key kind of drivers for me. And that helped me focus in on my own energy. And I suppose all the martial art training and the mindset I had at the time helped me get through that. And it's something I don't even think about now, because, as I said, I ended up working with TechLT. I went to S.I.M.A.C, which is a Fortune 500 company. Ended up going setting up my own company at the end of it. So I think any failure you have, it actually becomes a driver if you manage to get over it. That is.
And that's such a beautiful answer to the question, because the reality is that you've taken what we classify as...
Is the signal still connected?
I can see you.
Yeah, I can see you. I can hear you.
Yeah. So basically, the summary is that the journey...
Yeah, so does that help answer the question?
And the journey itself doesn't have to be what we classify as the standard journey that everyone's programmed into their mind. It's any time, as you said, that you switched on yourself, that you became absolutely driven, that you are going to create the change and that you want to get this degree, which is what the key was. We can hear you okay there, Jatinder. Can you hear it?
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So,
we can hear you.
So, okay, cool.
Excellent. I think what you have just mentioned, Sukhi, about determination, what Jatinder has showed, and persistency and consistency, and he's a driven, a person who has a driven encouragement within himself and the soul to go forward with it. So Jatinder, you have gone through with so many accolades in terms of your martial art and any other things what you have done. Do you think that having a mentor or a coach does help you, not only within your personal life, but also in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if we talk about mentors, I mean, I suppose one of my first mentors was probably when I used to do martial arts, obviously, because the instructor would teach you, look at where you're good and where you're bad, and help and guide you. And if you take that on board, it's gonna, give you the foundations as to what you do. And when I look at when I was at university, my dissertation supervisor was absolutely amazing. I don't know if she knew what she was doing was coaching, but what used to happen was that if I had a problem or anything, I would go up to her and say, look, I've got this problem. I don't know what to do. And she'll ask me a question and say, well, what would you do about it? And I thought, what do you mean? And she said, well, what could you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm coming to you for help. You tell me. And she said, and then she'll ask a slightly different question and say, well, what do you think? And, after a few of this back and forth kind of thing, I'll end up answering my own question. And this happened a few times. So every time I sit here, I go up to her, ask her, and she'll say, well, what do you think? What do you think? And this became her kind of motto, and everybody used to kind of joke around it because anybody who went to her, she did the same thing. So what do you think about it? And eventually what happened was I was sitting at home, I was doing my dissertation, and I ran into a problem. And I thought, well, how do I overcome this? And I said, okay, I'm going to go see the supervisor. And what I heard in my mind was, well, what do you think? Right? And I was sitting at home thinking, that's what she's going to ask. So I ended up rehearsing or running through that scenario in my mind and actually ended up asking my own question. So I realized that a good mentor is someone who can awaken the light within you. Mm-hmm. And, so that was probably an interesting one. Then when I was at TechLET, I had this amazing mentor there as well, who was the e-commerce manager, a guy called David Kellis. And I suppose he was probably one of my first business mentors. And when I used to work at TechLET, his door was always open. And if there was a problem or whatever, you go up to him, chat to him, and he was so polite, so authentic, and he'll guide you and support you all the way. So much so that we still keep in contact together. We actually, after he left TechLET, we still did work together because we built up such a good relationship. And then I suppose after that, I've had people like a guy called Kalpesh Patel who, because I did a bit of multi-level marketing at one stage as well, just to see what that was all about. But that guy was really phenomenal. He was very inspirational. Then all the other kind of coaches and entrepreneurs and authors that I worked with were mentoring as well. And now at this moment in time, I'm doing a lot of work with Sukhi, and Sukhi's a phenomenal guide. I've seen him help people excel so much. And he just knows where you are, and he won't force you to do anything. He'll just go with what you are. He'll wait for the moment to be right and even plant the seeds at the right places to help guide you forward. So having a mentor or a guide is key, because you're going to run into situations, a scenario when you don't know what to do. And at those times, it's very important that you can get in contact with someone who can help and guide you. And those kind of things, they just help you overcome any of the obstacles in your way.
Absolutely. Very, very true, and very, very actually to the point. And the question which when you used to go to your mentor in college, and when she asks you the question, what do you think? Exactly. The teacher have this, because teacher does not have answers to all the questions. And that's where they come in and says, okay, I don't have the answer, but I don't want to tell the student that I don't have the answer. I just say, why don't I ask the same question to him or her? Then what do you think, in your view, would be the answer for it? So let them start their creativity and start their juices running in their body and in their mind, so they can start to establish the answer by themselves. Because as a teacher, as a mentor, as a business coaches, we might not have the answers, but if you started to ask the right question to your mentee and your coachee, they will be able to answer their own question. So it's important, as you mentioned, that to have a coach and a mentor is important.
I think that it's good to kind of make a distinction between a coach and a mentor, because a coach is someone who may not necessarily have the answers. So they try to ask you questions and guide you. Whereas a mentor, most likely, if they've done what what industry you're in, they will probably know what to do. They may not tell you straight away, but they may guide you into that direction. Absolutely. So there is a big difference, I feel, between a coach and a mentor. And my supervisor, she was both. She was a coach because she was asking the right question, but she's a mentor because she's done it herself. She had a PhD and everything as well. And then obviously when you have a proper mentor who knows what they're talking about, then that's a whole new level. And I'm not saying one is bad or good or anything like that. I'm just saying that they both have their places.
Absolutely.
So depending what you do, you need to have the right people around you.
That's a wonderful answer. That's a wonderful answer. So that leads us to a little bit of a mid-break, if it's okay. But we're not going to leave anybody here. We're all going to stay together. We're just going to talk a little bit about our main sponsor, which is the business-boardroom.com. And basically, this is an organization where we...
Are we still there?
Yes, we are. We can hear you perfectly okay.
Oh, it just went totally silent.
So this is the Business Boardroom, where basically on a monthly basis, we have...
did that help with the question or...
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether there's a lag on your end there, Jatinder, but we can hear yourself. I'm just moving on to another point. It did answer the question.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a bad line on one of the sides.
So I'm just talking about the Business Boardroom for a moment, and then we'll come back into another question if that's okay. You see, this is the power of being live, isn't it?
Yes. We can hear you, Jatinder. Don't worry about it.
Right, okay.
Can hear you. Yeah, you will get silence in there, so don't worry about it. Sukhi is trying to convey the message for the sponsors now. So you should hear what he's saying. So if you are not hearing us, don't worry about it. We will connect with you on the segment. Thank you, Sukhi.
Brilliant.
Right, okay. Cool.
Just back on that conversation. So the Business Boardroom itself is a monthly...
So was there anything else you wanted me to add on that side of it?
Yep, just give me 1 second. We're going to talk about the Business Boardroom. I'll come straight on to the next question as well. So the Business Boardroom as a whole is an online and an offline accountability program where it's a monthly 4-hour program where you come to meet face-to-face like-minded individuals who help you resolve any of your challenges on a monthly basis. And I myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, are in those particular rooms as well. So we evolve the answer for yourself, and that's where we actually integrate both coaching and mentoring in the one room. And we combine it with a really, really amazing trademark facilitation, which basically goes through to masterminding itself. So it's basically on a monthly basis, you walk off your monthly tasks, clarities, and answers with a hint of knowledge. The maximum people in the room are 8 people. So if you ever would like to have some kind of a taster to enjoy this particular journey and actually meet like-minded individuals to take away what we call the loneliness, or to take away tried and tested strategies on a monthly basis to support your business and grow it, please reach out. There'll be a link at the bottom of this particular broadcast that will allow you to contact and connect with either myself at Sukhi Wahiwala directly or Sam, and we will then connect you with the right team at the businessboardroom.com. So back and continue. Thank you for listening to that little sponsorship moment. Jatinder, can you hear us again?
Should be working now.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Jatinder,
yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. So this leads us into the next question, Jatinder. So now this half that we talk about after the sponsorship note is it's more about strategy and what people can actually take away if they're listening online right now and afterwards as well, because this will be patriated around the web as soon as we finish. Then there'll also be, this recording will be available if people are waiting. It will be on the www.
I can't seem to hear Sukhi.
Inspired-business.tv.
Okay, wait a second. I think there is a glitch over here. I think, Sukhi, can you switch off your camera and come back? I think Jatinder can't hear you.
If Sam, you can continue with the next question. And the question is basically, my suggestion would be is something if Jatinder can't hear me right now, basically it's along the lines of the conversation of how...
Yeah, I can only hear you, Sam.
Okay, so wait a second.
Programs a service for his client base and helps them become the expert in their industry, please. Thank you. I'll look straight off.
Okay, so the question is, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sam, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Because what happened was Sukhi's connection was a little bit shaky at the moment. So I think he has just dropped out. What I would like to ask is, let me bring Sukhi back, actually. Hold a sec.
Sure.
He's coming back to us now. Can you see him?
Can you hear
technology? Can you hear him now?
Can you hear me?
No, I still can't hear Sukhi.
No, you can't. Okay. Can you see him?
Yeah.
Can you see him?
Sukhi,
Yeah, Sam, please continue. Please continue.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So the next question is more geared towards your expertise in your business as a consultant because you are award-winning IT consultant. So what sort of strategy do you use to help your clients or anybody who'd like to be your client? What sort of strategies you will be able to give them?
So so it depends on the industry the actual client is in it. So if we're working with like local businesses, then with local businesses, it's about local marketing and seeing what strategy we can put together to help like accountants or chiropractors or someone, or a doctor even, and get more people coming in through to their dentist, for example. When those seem to be like local strategies that we use, they're mainly to do with local searches. When we work with the niche industry of like authors, entrepreneurs, life coaches, it depends on what their industry is, what message they're trying to get out there, and we sit down and have this whole conversation to map out what is it they're trying to do. So what we do, I use something called the digital Samac method, which is kind of like built on 5 pillars, which are based on strategy, implementation, marketing, assessing, and calibrate. That's what the S.I.M.A.C basically stands for. And this is like my learnings from over the last 13 plus years. And it's kind of an amalgamation, because what I realized was that people generally tend to think that what they need to do is have just a website, and then they make a website live, and that's it. It's all over. Business is going to come flooding through the gates. But the reality of it is that's not really the case. There's about 5 things beforehand that need to be checked into before we can actually implement a good web strategy. And the kind of steps, I'll just quickly mention what all the 12 steps are.
Please.
And in the order that they usually take place. So in the strategy phase, just before that, we have 2 elements. We have an online phase and an offline phase. So in the online phase, in the strategy section, we have the problem, the solution, the business. There are 3 steps. The problem is about identifying who your target audience is, what problem you're solving, what their needs are, how what is that industry that you're trying to work with. Once you've identified that, then it's about looking at your solution. What solution do you have for that industry or for the people you're trying to help? And once the solution's been looked at, then we can look at the actual business, how they're going to set up the business, how they're going to define their business, vision, mission, purpose, SWOT analysis, and all that kind of stuff. And that usually takes place in the strategy phase. The step up from there is then the implementation phase, because once you've realized what you're trying to do, or how you're how you are going to actually create it, then you actually implement it. So in the implementation phase, we look at the branding. That's the general kind of stuff on logos, colors, what emotions you want to ignite. The next step from there is the funnel, the sales funnel, and the different levels involved there. And then you look at the website, which is the 6th step. So that's the implementation phase. I'll just quickly mention them, and if there's anything you want to go deeper into them, we can go deeper into that afterwards as well.
Can you tell us about more into this particular first segment of S.I.M.A.C when you say strategy for the online, because you says it's online and then you says offline. So in your view, the strategy for online business owner, because right now, as you know, majority of businesses are online. You will not see a lot of people are going offline now, or even though there are offline vendors, offline services available, but majority of people always check on their phone what's available right now, get the things. And as you know, right now you can get the delivery on Sunday as well. So everything is now
that's
working 24/7, I would say. And people are just in that cycle. So in your strategy phase, when you talk about S.I.M.A.C, how you are implementing each one in a very short form, but just describe it so the viewer can understand, and trying to understand in a small piece of information to digest it. Otherwise, it's too much to digest.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. What I'll do, I'll just quickly I'll just quickly finish off so overall what the 12 steps, and then I'll tell you how they kind of interlink with each other. So once the implementation phase is out of the way, then you look at the marketing, and the marketing would be the content that you create for your website, the blogs and all that kind of stuff, or the content you put on the site. Then you look at the traffic, and in traffic you can have a paid model or free traffic. You can have blogs. Oh, I'm getting feedback now. One second.
It's all right. I think let me
So in the traffic, you look at paid methods and free methods. Then you look at the tracking. So these are what we call the online methods. Yeah. The offline side of it, in the strategy phase, you got networking. In the implementation phase, you got live events, and in the marketing phase, you got media. Now, the way there's a big myth, and a lot of people I feel are getting distracted and confused with the whole online model. Because the whole thing about online, it's actually an extension and a tool of your business, right? There was a statistic I heard, I can't remember where I got it from, but they were saying there's something like 65% of business is still done offline. So that's a huge number if you think about it. And if everybody's trying to focus online, they're missing out on a big chunk of the kind of places where they could be making a lot of money. And the reason the offline side of it is very important is because at the end of the day, you're working with people, you're connecting with individuals. And the online side of things should be used as a tool, as an extension to your business. So if you are a coach, for example, the best form of coaching is going to be one-to-one, isn't it? It's going to be when you got people in the room or you're working with them on a one-to-one basis. And so if you're going offline and you're going to networking events, you're connecting with people, you're making relationships, then you can use the networking, for example, to say, well, I see what your problem is. I got a solution for that. Here's a link to my sales funnel. Or here's a link to, a PDF or a document that you can use that will help you solve that problem. So that's how I basically see it, that the online side of it is an extension to the activities that you can be potentially doing offline. So do not neglect offline, and it's still massive because surprising. I mean, I remember a few years back when we started doing some stuff with Sukhi, as an example. Sukhi didn't even have an online presence in some of this stuff, and he was still killing it. And I was like shocked. I was like, huh? What's going on here? So that's what got me to look into these things a bit deeper and realize that the online, I feel, is an extension of your business and not just the be all and end all, if that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. It does answer the question. And what actually you elaborated over here quite in depth about creating a right strategy for your offline and online business, because that both actually work hand in hand. You can't
That's right.
have
They should complement.
They complete, as you said, the extension of your offline to online will help you, because as majority of people do wants to come to your shop and see the product and touch them and feel them and see them and everything. And online product is most probably everything is online and you can't touch and feel, and you will have large number of returns. Sometimes people will say the color was not right color which I was looking for. I've seen a lot of businesses start the business and they do that photography of their products and they upload everything and people buy it, and then when they receive the product and say, well, that's not actually matching the color which is on your website, so I don't want it. I just want to return it back to you. So what you are saying is perfectly making sense, actually. Perfectly making sense. Thank you for sharing that.
Can I begin with that, Sam, or is it just you, Sam?
No. We can hear you.
I can hear you, Sukhi.
Okay, brilliant. So if I could just interject, thank you very much for highlighting the fact that the online and offline is so important to be synchronized along with all of your social media as well, because what you've found and what we've found over the years is that people ask for different things on different platforms, and the actual end user tends to be the same person following across the medium, but then they get slightly confused. Is that right, Jatinder?
Yes, that can so happen. I mean, if you look at the whole online space, it's literally digital noise to some extent, because so many people are just putting stuff out there. It's the bombardment. It's so easy. It's like a magpie chasing the silver item or something. They jump from one thing to another, and when people jump from one thing to another, there's no focused energy there, so they don't achieve what they set out to do. And it's so easy to get distracted online, and you got to be very careful as to what you're doing online and how what you're doing is actually giving you a return, or so you can measure it, and it's actually benefiting you. I mean, take social media for example. I mean, there's this myth that people thinking that the more followers they get, the more, I don't know, money you'll be making or whatnot. But the reality is that's not the case. It eventually gets to a stage where it becomes like a numbers game. And what I mean by that is I got a friend who deals with email marketing as an example, yeah, and he was telling us that you could have 1 million emails go out, but only like 1 to 6% are going to actually look at the email, and then another 1 to 6% of that are going to actually click through to the email, and then another 1 to 6% is going to actually look at your web page, and then the numbers just dwindle. And by the time you got 1 million people going through it, if it's not highly targeted, you'll only end up with a certain number of people that may actually take up on your offer. And social media to some degree works in that manner as well. So you might have thousands and thousands of followers, but not all of them are going to filter through to your funnel. So the idea is to get very focused as to what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you want to direct people when you're actually doing anything online.
Wow. So now, just to clarify, we are in the last 10 minutes of our broadcast now. So I just want to...
Wow, that's gone quick.
It's gone very quickly, hasn't it, team? But the Inspired Tribe knows that we tend to squeeze our guest speakers for some actual active information that they can use in their own business. So online, we're going to have lots of people who have come from the background of, as you suggested already, coaching, mentoring, but also individuals who come from the holistic healing environment, and also individuals who have what we call the traditional open shop type style of businesses, restaurants, taxi services, etc.
Yeah.
So the question I'm going to ask yourself, Jatinder, if I could be so abrupt, or should I say to the point, what single piece of advice could you give? I mean, I know when we speak about things like landing pages, sales pages, and how important they are to be truly focused, which is what the key is it as easy as, the question I'm going to ask you is it as easy as getting one quality landing page and basically just synchronizing everything you've got to go to that single page, and obviously then reap the benefits of the results from that single landing page? And if this is correct, what constitutes a very good landing page, sales page, or squeeze page, being the same thing? What are the key activities or key elements within that page, if you don't mind?
That's a very good question, and I don't know if we've got enough time to go into great.
I know you can do it, and we believe in you.
So yeah, so if we take a sales funnel is something that can allow you to get very targeted on what you're doing. So if you look at the yin and the yang of things, if you have a website is a broad, wide kind of net, because it's out there and it's going to attract whoever sees it or gets to it, kind of thing. And you can target it and tweak it so that it starts to attract the right type of people. But a sales page is designed for main thing is either to get a name and an email address, or designed to actually make the sale, or designed to actually get you to do some sort of call to action, so that you can interact with the person. Whereas a website is got multiple options, navigation points. So when you go to a website, you can easily get distracted and end up going into different places. Whereas a sales page is very targeted. So if you I suppose the key thing, or the most important thing, is actually to get your message and your product offering as clear as you can, because it's vital. Again, the online sphere is a kind of binary setup to one degree, because if somebody lands on your webpage, they're either going to be interested in what you have, or they're not going to be interested, right? And so that's just a yes or no binary 1 or 0 kind of element to it. So if you can focus the page to that particular target audience, then it's going to be a lot more efficient in getting a conversion of some type happening. And so initially what I used to do was I used to look at a website or a web page, and I said that there's 3 kind of vital questions that it should be able to answer when somebody lands on it. And they're basically, what is it, who is it for, and what did they get? Mm-hmm. And these were the 3 things I used to look into. But then after doing a lot of disc research and studying, I realized that there's actually a 4th element as well, which is social proof, or what if, or this, or evidence of what was going on. So what is it, who is it for, what do they get, and then show the proof. If you can kind of put these 4 elements onto a web page or a sales page, then it's highly targeted and it's probably going to convert the page a lot better for your kind of target audience. So the main thing I say is you need to get clear so much on who you're trying to target, and then you need to know their problem and understand it to the nth degree, and you need to know all their pain points and have an answer for all those pain points. And if you could get that information on the web, on a sales page, then you're going to be in a much better place to convert. And like you were saying, you can then focus all of your energies to get people to go to that landing page or sales funnel or what we call a scheduler, so you can get on a call with them. It becomes very highly targeted. And that's what I would say is a key thing. Know your target audience, know who you're trying to get, and know your offer inside out.
Teach them thing. Know your target, know your order, know your offer, and aim directly at them. Now, why you said you couldn't do that in that short period of time? You've just done it in 3.5 years.
Can I just add something? A bit of a realization to something is like when we were doing one of the disc workshops with you, which was working on the kind of personality types of different types of audiences and their mindsets and how they can actually interact with them. One of the things you said was that know yourself, know others, and then adapt, right? And when you're in the kind of one-to-one space, that's something that is very it's so possible to do, because if you know yourself, then you can figure out what the other person's all about, and then you can adapt. In the online space, is slightly different, because you still have to know yourself in the sense that you need to know your product offering and what it's all about. But you need to know your target audience more. And so those two things would kind of switch around to some degree. And because you need to know your target audience and know what their problems are, and then adapt your offer to be able to work them out. So it's in line with, it was the realization of that actually there's an offline approach and there's an online approach. And that's how those two things kind of mingle with each other.
So what you're saying basically is offline, which is what we all train and talk about in our discovery leadership programs, is know yourself, know your audience, or know your clients, know others, and then learn how to adapt. And in online, you're saying basically it's know your audience first, then know your offer yourself, and then adapt your offer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
because just like, because some people might be thinking, well, I got multiple things that I do. How do I get that across to people? And you could do like a segmentation funnel where, for example, people land on your page and you present them with 4 options initially. Just say, well, what are you after? Are you after business growth? Are you after a brand new business? Or are you just after marketing, for example? And people would select one of the options, and then you can segment it further. So you can actually do things like that, which then creates the perfect customer journey. So you're adapting your offer to what they need, and do it in that kind of approach as well.
Wow. So just to clarify that, so you've got that. That's exactly the same. So we've covered an awful lot today, and I hope the Inspired Tribers have really enjoyed listening to each one of these segments. They all fit together, and it's about the S.I.M.A.C method. So S.I.M.A.C method, so you should bring it all together on an online journey. And I truly, I'm thankful that Jatinder has taken the time out to help our tribe. He is a member of the tribe as well, but helping ourselves, both Sam and myself. So this brings us to a final question, and then we can just talk about how you can get hold of us this evening, actually. Well, before I go to the final question, just to let everybody know that this evening, all 3 of us are actually going to be in the city of London. And specifically, if you go to www.inspireddinner.co.uk, you will find, is that correct? Club, sorry. So inspireddinner.club. You will find this evening, starting at around 6 o'clock this evening, exactly sharp actually, we have Emily, and can you disclose the details of her name, please?
Emily Gower.
Emily Gower, from Australia, who is actually a book writing coach. So this will be thank you, Sam, for putting that up on the system. So do meet us this evening in central London. We will be in around Covent Garden. The actual location, when you click on the link, it will show you where you are. It's a not-for-profit, so we just pay our own dinners and we meet up. It's a totally social environment where the Inspired Tribe can communicate and connect on a monthly basis. It's always the 3rd Wednesday of every month. We would love to see you there. It's 15 to 25 people every single month. They rotate, and no one really talks about business. We really get to know each other first, and business comes off the back of it. And we found that actually, ironically, this particular method has generated more business than we expected between the members. So thank you, and I'll see you this evening. So back to ourselves, Jatinder, with yourself. The question that both Sam and ourselves usually end with, if I pass it on to Sam, is about the legacy. Sam, please.
So, we all have a purpose in life. Purpose is to serve others, and Sukhi's purpose is to serve millions of people globally and locally and everything. And so, and to be remembered his astonishing journey in this world. For if I will ask you, what will be your legacy if you will be leaving behind you? How everybody needs to remember you. Everybody will remember you as an award-winning IT consultant, but what else people will be remembering you?
That's a very good and deep question, and I think my kind of dream and vision is all around the concept of connection, and so just to give you a bit of background on that, I'm working on something at the moment which is called digital rapport, and the whole digital rapport side of it is linked on the side of not just online rapport but offline rapport. And then when you take that rapport further is like, why rapport? And it basically is about connecting with other people and how you're authentically connecting with other people. And I feel that with the emergences of all these kind of social media and what we're hearing about how people are so disconnected from each other, I want to, I suppose, create a way or leave things behind, whether it's education or training or interviews with experts that help people connect with themselves so they can connect with others. And I think that's what I want to be kind of known for, is having inspired people to actually connect with other human beings on a very deep level.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. Wow.
That aligns with Sam and myself as well, doesn't it, Sam? It's such a beautiful connection.
Very profound answer. Very profound answer. I really understand. And I think we are all actually on the same wavelength and the same energy field. And we have the same sort of values attached to us, which allows us to think in that sort of, deep level to bring that all together. So before I think we conclude, I think Sukhi got some messages to pass on to all the audience.
I mean, I'm truly, truly humbled that you've taken the time out, Jatinder, to help us today and share such pearls of wisdom with all of the team and the tribe. So if they wanted to get hold of you, how would they get hold of you, Jatinder, to maybe help any of the listeners get themselves seen as what I call the go-to people in their industries, the experts themselves? How could they get hold of yourself, Jatinder?
Yeah, so firstly, thank you, Sam and Sukhi, for giving me the opportunity to actually speak out live. I think it's about time I started doing more of this. Right?
We were talking about stones only last week, weren't we?
That's right. I think sometimes, as my business mentor, a guy called Sukhi Wahiwala, says, you got to step up a bit more sometimes, right? If people want to connect with me, I'm quite easy to find on Facebook, or you could go to my website, jatinderpalaha.com, and just connect with me. Like I said, just do a search. I'll be there on Google somewhere. It's quite easy to get in contact with me, and just reach out. See, if you got questions, let me know. If there's something I can help you with, then definitely.
Thank you for putting that up there, Sam, and the links are in the downline as well. So this brings us to another, sad but also amazing end. I just love talking to our Inspired Tribe with Sam, Dossa, myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, and today's guest, today's guest, Jatinder Palaha. And so if anybody would like to reach out and continue to share this information with other friends, please feel free to do so. I think we've come to the end of this amazing broadcast. And once again, on behalf of myself, Sukhi Wahiwala, I'd like to thank you, Jatinder, and all the Inspired Tribe for listening. Do tune in to www.inspired-business.tv. All of our videos of past experiences and past individuals and past leaders, world authorized leaders like Jatinder and others as well, have been already on and published in that particular YouTube channel. So please do click in and have a look. Sam, do you have any final words before we log off?
Thank you very much, Sukhi. Thank you, Jatinder, and for all the people who have joined us. today live. We are very, very humble that you are supporting us with this initiative, and we hope you are enjoying what we are bringing to this platform. And anything which you would like us to bring in, please do not hesitate to contact myself or Sukhi Wahiwala to be sharing on this platform. And we are very, very humble about Jatinder to be on our guest today for sharing his S.I.M.A.C method of digital marketing and all other wisdom he shared with us, and hope everybody will learn something from this fantastic broadcast today. As earlier mentioned by Sukhi, that this is going to be segmented and put it onto inspired-business.tv website, which is connected to our YouTube channel. So please do subscribe to YouTube channel, which contains a lot of past interviews, which might get you amazing knowledge you might be waiting for to hear from us. So with this, I would like to say goodbye and all the best for today, and looking forward to getting back to you with a fantastic episode next month. Bye for now.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much. Bye for now.